Everyone, welcome to our FaB year in review for 2025. I'm joined by Rob, or OllinTogether on YouTube, as well as Lupinefiasco and Tegan, who is our editor. But yeah, for this video, we're basically going to be talking about the year of FaB in 2025, basically our favorite things that happened during the year, and also our least favorite things. So we each basically kind of like filled out a little like spreadsheet with kind of our thoughts, and then we're going to kind of like unveil the spreadsheet kind of as we talk about it and kind of go through each of these kind of categories one by one. But yeah, without further ado, let's maybe start off with the first category, which is the best change for 2025. So, Lupine, what does this category, I think, mean to you at least?
This would be overall health of flesh and blood. I know we all engage in FaB in different ways. Some of us are competitive grinders, some of us take a more casual approach, but regardless, however you approach the game, you want it to be good. And I think the best change should sort of encapsulate that for the most people. Um, Personally, my best change for Flesh and Blood in the year 2025 was alternate constructed formats at tier 4 events. Includes Pro Tours and Worlds. We'll get into, further on, maybe in my worst change, the LL implementation in Worlds. But overall, coming from Magic, it really showed that you want to have multiple formats that are fun and engaging and competitive. If one format isn't good, then you want to be able to engage in something else. And for a long time, Flesh and Blood really hasn't had that. We had CC as the premier format, and then Blitz was kind of also there sometimes, and Limited was maybe something that you would do when a new set came out for the first 2 weeks before everyone had their cards, but mostly it has just been CC. So I like that LSS is now pushing for alternate formats to be competitively viable and supported.
So I guess I'll talk about mine now. Mine. So I wrote Bonds of Agony as banned. So it's not specifically Bonds of Agony, but I feel like the Bonds of Agony ban is kind of like a we learned a lesson type of thing. Earlier this year, Aurora got an armory deck, and then like LL promptly like after.
Or
Um,
the hero?
the hero, not
Yeah.
you. You're still around. And part of that was because they didn't just want to ban a card from the armory deck, right? So to me, like Bonds of Agony being banned is them like kind of acknowledging, hey, you know what? Like, sure, it's like this power card that's actually important for the class, but like it's better if it's not existing in CC. So I think it's like a positive change that they're willing to ban things that people are mad about. People were really mad. Yeah.
I, I don't mean to be a bit of a Melvin, but I think the card they wanted banned was not in the armory deck. It would have been Flicker Wisp was the card to ban, right?
Like they should have. That's what they should have done, but like they just didn't do anything, right?
Mhm.
They're like, we're not gonna. We don't really want to ban anything right this second, and then they just waited too long, and then the deck was gone. Much to the dismay of Aurora players. I know John were not thrilled that the deck is no longer around.
No, I mean, Aurora was definitely the most fun, most engaging aggro deck to play that they've ever printed. I think you could make an argument for Zen. I personally didn't like Zen, but I get that Zen had that same feel of like, hey, these four cards could be anything. And if you drew the four worst cards in your deck, you could definitely outplay that and turn that into something. But yeah, I agree. Aurora was gone too fast and LSS didn't do anything. Like the writing was on the wall with Flicker Wisp being the way that she beats her bad matchups, and they just left it.
Yeah. So mine's like it's a funny statement, but like see, I worked it around to be something where it's not just me making fun of assassin players for losing a card that they really liked.
So how would you, as I get what you're saying, and I largely agree with it, except that then we look over at Living Legend and see that Deadwood Dirge was a problem, and we all knew it was a problem. It made Chain way too good, specifically Runegate Chain. And then LSS printed the Viserai Armory deck, and they said, wait a minute, we printed Deadwood Dirge, so I guess we're going to unrestrict it. And then
They
LL
tried their
sucked for a month.
best. They tried to do something, and then they're like, yeah, actually we shouldn't have ever done this. And I think they're gonna come back and revisit LL at some point.
That's almost the problem with these armory decks being like this playable outside the box product, is that like it's so hard to balance the game when you have to like balance around there being this thing that you have to make playable out of the box.
We'll just ban armory decks. I
Yeah.
think that solves the problem.
And
right.
armory decks.
Well, Aurora, do you want to explain what your best change this year was?
Yep. Mine's just Sage. Pretty easy. I think this is, I don't know. I've just been having like, I think the last couple months of FaB in general have just kind of like, if it's felt like largely like the same game it was like 3 months ago. So I don't know. Like the formats are very like homogenized at this point, like mostly solved. A lot of the like new sets didn't really impact the meta very hard. But Sage, it feels like a very fresh new format. It feels like there's a lot of room for experimentation, a lot of deck variety. And like there are some like top decks, but like there's other decks that can compete with them. I really like Sage just as a format. Even like on release without any like initial balance changes or like card support, it's still just like really, really fun.
Rob, I think that's actually a fine transition to yours, which is also Sage.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
I think Sage is a phenomenal format. I actually just put a video out on it today. But I think there's a couple things that make Sage really exciting for me. The first of which is people have been talking about how expensive this game has gotten. As I've been getting frustrated with Guardian and maybe considering other decks to play, I'm looking at how expensive they are. I was trying to build Kasai earlier this week, and she's roughly 1.5 to 2 grand, no matter how you slice it. And I have some of those cards, but it's like this is a rent payment on a new deck, and it's like I don't want to fucking do this. That's ridiculous. So being able to go to a new format and being able to pick up any deck I want for $20 is awesome. Having a great amount of deck variety, having just so much support for it, being able to get all sorts of new players in that haven't been able to engage with the format or the game before. It's like if I tell a Magic player, "Hey, you can play our competitive game. You can make $2 million if you win." It's $20. That's great. That's so exciting for them. And I know a lot of their OP has kind of gone away, so it's kind of a great way to welcome more players in.
Yeah. I didn't even talk about the monetary aspect of, but that's like honestly one of the biggest ones. Community building.
Yeah, there's kind of like there's like the excuse of like, oh, it's too expensive to get into competitive FaB kind of doesn't make any sense anymore, especially given that they're pushing Sage to be like the forefront of competitive play throughout the next year. So overall, it's probably just new constructed for like Sage. Alternate constructed formats in tier 4 are also kind of like lumped in there.
You also include LL in this, or is this just Sage?
Well, LL did not come out in 2020
What other constructed
or in 2025. I think it's just Sage.
Yeah, I think it's just Sage.
But you know what?
I
Yes,
think
maybe we
I
can
would-
just solidify that to Sage.
yeah.
Sage in tier 4. I am actually really curious to see if they are ever going to have Sage as the second format at a Pro Tour or a Worlds.
They already announced that. It's for Yokohama.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then there we
It's
go.
straight up like a thing that if you're playing competitively, like you need to play Stage now. Like you need to interface with this aspect. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's easy to for a lot of formats just not interact with them at all because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like UPF is not something I think I've even played one game of, and I don't think I ever will either. But Sage is something that like, well, I like to go to these tournaments. Well, I like to play in tournaments. I don't like to go to them, but it's a whole different thing. But yeah, it's like, well, I will have to learn the deck or learn this format, right?
I was initially put off by the announcement of showdowns because I thought that we had just come off the back of LL being poorly received by the community, LSS really jumping the gun on its implementation, and then they come out and say, hey, we're doing the same thing for Sage. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, no, it's actually really good that if you are a player who never wants to spend more than $20 on a deck, but you do want to go to a competitive event, like there's a calling in your city and you want to check out what Flesh and Blood at a tier 3 level looks like, there'll always be something for you to do. The fact that the showdowns are always tied to a calling was so cool. The more I thought about it, the more I'm like, no, you can, if you're going to a calling, you can now choose to engage with the game in a $2,000 way or a $20 way. And that's awesome.
And it's no longer just like because commoner, it's right. It's like, oh, the commoner gold foil event, and it's like, well, if commoner is the only thing you do, then you're only doing that one event, right?
Yeah.
You're grinding side events, but now you have a chance to like play in play in like the big tournaments, right?
Mhm.
Like falling or what.
Yeah.
it's a,
No,
it's a marquee event.
you can treat Sage the way that people have been treating CC and LL and Philly, which is if your event's on Sunday, Friday, and Saturday, you're just doing the side events for your format. You're doing the Sage side events that you can get like almost the same experience before you go into the actual tournament. It's really nice.
So we don't have a lot of these events kind of labeled with formats quite yet, but I'd be willing to stick my neck out and make some bets here. I know the Compendium of Wraith calling is constructed Sage. Then the following week we have Calling San Diego, which is the release date of Compendium of Wraith globally. The Friday there's going to be a calling. That has to be Sage. I'm pretty sure this is a double calling in San Diego where it's going to go Sage on Friday and then CC on Saturday.
That would be very cool.
That'd be interesting.
I already wanted to go to San Diego, and that would make me want to go more.
I like San Diego.
Just fun.
Great city.
You go again. All right. Well, let's be really negative because that's what gets views. Let's talk about the worst change. John, what is your worst change and why is it LL and Tier 4 implementation?
I alluded to it earlier. As much as I really like that they're doing alternate constructed formats at higher levels, they really did a shit job with LL. So, in hindsight, I really enjoyed playing LL and Philly. I thought that by the time we got to the format, it was actually in a good spot, and I never had to play against the Stubby Dio deck that was apparently, I mean, not apparently, I tested against it. It was very problematic. But the whole implementation of LL being like this skirmish season that was supposed to ended up getting all of the data because none of the stores wanted to run LL Pro quests into here's a premature ban list where we're going to unrestrict Dirge because that's like a thing that we think people are going to enjoy, but also Ira's dead now. Into 3 weeks later saying, hey, we're re-restricting Dirge and also Thorn is gone and also we're really sorry. As a rule, I love when businesses are contrite and I love when they fall on the sword. But the article from LSS, the second announcement in October, really just read like, we don't know what we're doing and we're too far in to back out. And it ended up being good, but man, they did not sell anyone on the format. And I think now it would be a very hard sell to say, we're going to continue to, we're banning high octane or art of war, whatever they want to say is the problem with Dio. And then we're going to do more LL. I think players would not be on board with that. And if the big takeaway from the launch of your event at a tier 4 tournament is that no one wants to touch it again, you fucked up. You did a bad job.
I think that LL suffered from so like when I remember when it first was released, they're like, yeah, no cards are banned right now. We're just gonna see what happens, right? And uh immediately it was like the Starvo format. This is like when it first came out. And so they've been trying to balance it essentially around two heroes, Starvo and Chain, which is like a lot of people are like, I want to play those heroes, right? They're a lot of people's favorite deck. And LL's kind of suffered as a result of these are a lot of people's favorite decks, and we have to just keep them in the format. So it's weird. It's also especially interesting comparing it to how like Sage has been done, right? Where it started out with as like a beta test with Project Blue, and it's like here's the ban list, and then it comes out and it's like yes, here's the ban list and more cards that we figured out should be on the ban list just due to like the beta tests and stuff like that. So like it it kind of was like a format where it's like yeah, like this should be a thing, right? Like an like a true eternal format where you can play every hero. Um, but like there just wasn't enough done to make that work. And it felt like they didn't really know what LL was supposed to be. Like they didn't know if it's going to be like you play every card that's ever existed, or it's like this format where you can play heroes that you can't play in CC, but it's still kind of balanced like CC. And there's like a clash right now between those two things.
There's this weird so make the comparison to Magic having Legacy and Vintage. Legacy being the anything goes, except that the Power 9 is restricted, and Vintage being the more heavily curated ban list.
The opposite.
And is it God, I always get that
Yeah.
wrong. Okay, forget what I said. Vintage is the one where everything
Vintage
except
is
power nine.
cool.
Everything is in place except the power nine. Da, da, da. And Ellis doesn't seem to know what they want to do with LL because yes, they have this ban list and they keep adding things to it, but those things always seem to correspond to Starvo or Chain. So you could just ban Starvo and Chain, but then you run into this issue where, like you said, if someone's favorite hero is Chain, where do they go? The answer is Silver Age. But if someone's favorite hero is Starvo, where do they go? The answer is Hell. So they need to maybe make two formats. One is just the chain, the totally unbanned Chain Starvo Zen triangle, and the other is like, well, Icelander was my favorite hero, and I want her to be competitive. But Dromai was my favorite hero, and I want her to be competitive. And oh,
It's like I
I
agree with
don't.
that. Like I want to play the broken bullshit cards. Those were my favorite cards. They banned all of the cool ones from CC because of things like competitive balance and stuff like that. And I want to play those. And I'd be really annoyed if they're like, we're restricting all of this because of these problem children that can't their hero ability just can't do anything about that. So it would actually be really cool to play just like yes, here's the broken bullshit format, and then here's a more eternal one, but like it's very curated.
Mhm.
Yeah. I would love a legacy vintage split. I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about whatever my worst change was. I forgot. We designed this hero around this card. Ah, yes. So you've probably heard about Ban Flick Knives Initiative 2025 to 2026. I think that 2025 was like, in terms of LSS making heroes, there's been a few this year that I think are like bad designs, maybe a strong word, but like I would not like. I think that it's an ill-advised idea what they did. Um, so I'm talking about like Syndra and Toughnut to a lesser extent. Um, Heroes that are designed around like a specific piece of equipment, specifically start and play, stay and play equipment. So in Syndra's case, it's Flick Knives, Toughnut, it's Rock. I think that this is just kind of a recipe for disaster, and we're seeing that in CC a little bit. Um, there are a lot of people who will come right out and defend the Flick Knives Mask and Momentum interaction. It's like that's actually cool and intended play, and it's a great time. It's not. It's like actually really rough. Flick Knives is bad for the game for other reasons besides that, but what they've done with Syndra is like most of her cards aren't a problem except for like this piece of equipment that enables this consistent like offensive overlap every turn. Um, and there's nothing you can do about it short of banning Flick Knives or like Mask Momentum, and that's not something that's good. I don't think you're I think you should ban Flick Knives, but I don't think it's a good idea to do it. Like, so I would like them to stop doing this. Like Top Nut's designed around rock, which isn't problematic because it's rock, right? But like if they keep doing this, it's only a matter of time before it's like, well, here's another thing that's designed around this legendary piece of equipment that we don't really want to ban because it's a legendary. Oops. Um, it's rough. Like I would like them to stop.
I agree. I think that if this was a digital card game, this might be a better idea because at least then you can errata a card without having to totally, shift everything. But yeah, you say, well, rock isn't a problem yet, but if we get to a world where rock is a problem, tough nut rock is just oppressive, then yeah, you can't fix that. There's
Yeah.
no If you ban rock, the deck dies. If you ban flick knives, Syndra dies.
Yeah, it's it's not a good situation to be in. Like it's putting all of their eggs in one basket for these heroes.
I feel like if you compare like knives to like Shuko, right? Like Shuko, the damage is like also once per turn. But you have the opportunity to block it. Like it's not like true damage, and then you also like don't enable a ton of other go again cards from basically. So I don't even know if that problem is necessarily like I think there is a fair way to make Flick Knives Syndra like a good deck. I think it's just like the hard pull that she has is also like above rate in and of itself, and then you just stack the Flick.
Yeah. It's
She also could like, as long as you're like playing carefully, you can almost like never brick with her. which makes
Mhm.
like it's I think it really adds up on the consistency issue.
It's rough. I feel like Magic the Gathering used to. I mean, they don't have heroes, right? But they have things where it's like, oh, we really want this card to work, right? And one example of that back when I was playing Standard was Field of the Dead and Scape Shift, because Scape Shift was in Standard, um, which is like you sacrifice a bunch of lands, you get a bunch of land. And then Field of the Dead said when lands enter and they have different names after a certain amount, you make a bunch of zombies. Um, what this did was it made this broken pile of bullshit that ruined Standard. Uh, and it's like, well, we want people to be able to use this card, right? This cool card from this set. And people were like, but they it's like, to me it seems much more difficult to appropriately gauge the power of something if you're designing it for a specific thing. Because like the interaction between Flick Knives and Mask, like that is a cool interaction, like in a vacuum, like once or twice per game, but it's every turn. And that's like not great. Like that's a bad play pattern to be on the opposing side of. So like I think that they should be more careful, I guess is my uh my issue with this newfound desire to make things around a specific card. All right. Well, with all that being said, Aurora, why don't you explain what your worst change is and what this means?
Okay, yeah, so I'll be kind of quick on this one. So I said emphasis on limited at the detriment of CC, and I don't actually mean like what I'm not saying with this one is that like the limited formats were pushed for like competitive purposes or whatever. Like I don't think like Super Slam and Master Pack Guardian were necessarily like the most competitively viable formats. I like the limited level, right? But what I will say is that it feels like they've devoted a lot of their time to investing in making sure that the limited environment is like playable. So you saw like Master Pack Guardian with crack shuffle play, and then like Super Slam, they had to have like 4 heroes that each like fell into like reviled, revered, guardian brute, whatever. Like it felt like there was more emphasis placed on it being like a draftable or like a just out of the box like draft experience or limited experience, right? But they didn't really. It feels like the CC implications, especially like Master Pack Guardian and Super Slam, were like pretty. And in general, I don't think like the limited formats were all that strong either. So it felt like they ended up wasting like a ton of time on the limited aspect, kind of to the detriment of like the CC impacts. Is what I'm trying to say.
I'll push back a little bit on this one because Mastery Pack Guardian was not supposed to come out now. And I think when it came out, like when it was supposed to come out, this would have been a very relevant set. I think it would have given Victor a much better matchup into a lot of his like bad matchups to the point where I think he would be favored into Enigma.
Yeah.
And like I think it makes him like a real player again. But I do understand where you're coming from, but I think it's just some unfortunate things happened.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It is like the timing of it. They had to like push back the set. How many months was it? Like 6, 7 months? 8 months?
It was like 4 or 5 months, I think.
I heard it was supposed to come out last November initially. Like after
so like almost a year.
Almost a year.
Okay.
So like
yeah,
That's a long time.
yeah, the game changes like very rapidly between now and then. But maybe that's why it also felt like a whiff. But I think also like the limited experience, especially for like Mastery Pack Guardian. I don't know. Like it still like is confusing to me some of the like what they were trying to go for. Basically.
The crack shuffle play of it with Valda did not feel good when we played it.
It felt very just like
it felt weird. It felt like something was wrong. So like Valda never made seismic surges from my opponent drawing cards when we played. And I was like, oh, is this like, am I just getting unlucky? Am I playing this wrong? And it's like, well, there's really just not much that activates it. So it felt like it just felt weird. Like it felt like it was like not cooked all the way through. Which I don't know. Like there's just something about it that just didn't sit right.
that's fine.
I don't think it was their best limited set, especially after coming off of High Seas, but we don't need to dwell too much on it.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, why don't you explain to the audience what 0.5x means?
Sure. So around when High Seas came out, they said we're going to change how Living Legend works, where when a hero comes out for the first year, they will get half Living Legend points. And after 2 years, they'll get 1.5x Living Legend points. Which to me, this has just felt like a crutch. And it felt like we don't want to ban cards from popular, powerful decks. We saw Aurora had a number of times where she could have lost key cards, mainly Flicker Wisp, that would not have impacted her deck when it came out. They didn't think it was quite good enough, but I think it's very frustrating to kind of play a game where the promise is, because the promise they made when this came out was we're going to curate our formats more. We're going to sit here, we're going to watch, and we're going to ban when cards become a problem. And as of this past weekend in Worlds, if it were not for this change, Cinder would have LL'd with 0 bans, and that's a hero being like LLing at about 10 months, maybe 9 months, if I remember serves. But it's like that's too fast, which sucks. People don't want to buy into these heroes and have them LLs too quickly. I think this is something that really needs to change. They either need to be, honest and upfront and like really about curating these formats and caring about them, or they need to revert this change.
I also think part of the problem is they're hesitant to ban card like they're hesitant to not just like ban problem cards, but they're also hesitant to like just notch down the power level like a little bit. Like even if there's a card that's not like an explicit problem, I feel like they kind of don't they don't want to take like a like even like a minor kind of like power level shift. It feels like it's either a card that needs to be like banned outright, or like if it's just like, oh, it's just a 0 for 4 with Gogan, like that's probably like fine to leave.
Yeah.
I think it kind of like dovetails with like, so they've done it. They did it like twice or 3 times ish this year, where it's like we want these heroes to be playable and people to play them. So like Syndra and Gravy are super playable, right out of the set, and because of that, they've immediately been winning a bunch of tournaments. And so it's like, okay, well, you don't want them to immediately LL, which I understand, but I think that, like, yeah, part of it is they need to be better about not just kind of accidentally breaking a hero
Mhm.
with design.
Yeah, Syndra was not playable for a long time because Slippy existed. And so I could see Syndra getting away with some of her nonsense during the months where Slippy was around because people just weren't seeing it as often. There weren't as many tournament results, or if you did look at tournament results, you would say, oh, well, Syndra's winning like 45% of her games. Yeah, that flick mask interaction may not be fun to play against, but it's not good. So we're not going to worry about that. But as soon as it becomes viable, you have to take a look, or you just, look down the LL list and you see, well, Verdance has been winning pretty consistently for the last 6 months, and she's at 0.5x percent. To Aurora's point, as you have to start doing something. We got to ban multiple bans for Gravy, and Alice has said in the announcement, Gravy hasn't really been winning all that much. His win rate is within reasonable bounds, but there is a community perception that he's OP. So we're gonna take a hand to him. And I read that and thought, great, let's keep that up. That's the energy I want to see from the 0.5x modifier. And that was the one time we've seen it since it was announced.
Well, now Gravy's fine.
Yeah, great, it's totally fine.
Gravy can't win anything. Hasn't won a calling in forever. Didn't win worlds. Like bad deck, honestly. Let's bring Tipples back.
Yeah. Ooh. Now that I'm playing the deck, absolutely.
The funny thing is though, like a lot of like maybe Gravy's kind of like the exception here, but a lot of the 3 decks, or the Verdance and Syndra at least, like they don't really have a specific card that you can really point to as being like the problem card in a lot of, like I guess like it's like maybe Light Up the Leaves or like
I think
Storm
Verdance
Riders?
you can. No, not Storm Riders. I think Verdance like just has too many numbers. Syndra, it's like this holistic nightmare of
yeah.
like all like this deck is just like a synergy machine, and it's
Yeah, Syndra is of all of them, Syndra is the one that if you're not going to ban Flick Knives or Mask of Momentum, there isn't one that you can
Yeah.
really point to as like,
banned left kunai of retribution. How about that?
holy shit, you're so right.
I'm so good
I
at
wouldn't
this
play the
game.
deck.
I wouldn't play it either.
Verdance actually sits in a similar spot to Syndra, where she's just a synergy machine with like she is like the old like she's like where Assassin was, where it's like 90% of your cards are majestics. These are just like good, like you have all these expansion slot cards that are good. You have Felling, you have Plow, you have CNC, you have so much disruption. It's like all your hands convert. They're always good. She just has like continuous like custom card after custom card for her, and we're at the point where it's just kind of it's too much.
Yeah. You basically got what, like 3 or 4 sets of support?
Yeah, she
like,
got it. Would
continuously?
Hunted, High Seas, Super Slam, every single one she got an expansion slot card that buffed her in some way. Which is like annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying to be a Kano to have been a Kano player and like get all your cards banned, and then you see Verdance who I don't even like. Like I don't even think she's like a real wizard, if I'm being completely honest. Me and the rest of the homies at the wizard school hate her.
I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles, and we'd all eat it, be happy.
She doesn't even go here.
But seeing her just get 3 cards in a row, it's just like, oh, I'm suffering. I hate to see.
I hate to correct, but it's been 4 cards in a row.
What's the 4th card?
Evergrowth.
Yeah,
oh, that also. Yeah, that was she got 2 cards in High Seas.
Yep, it was Ring of Roses, Everbloom Life, Burn Up, Burn Bear, Light Up the Leaves.
Oh,
sounds about right.
All right. Well, what is our worst overall change? Let's find out.
I don't think we agree.
I guess it's because it's all opinion, but like, yeah, we're not gonna declare an overall worst change of the year, but these are what we think.
Come up with your own.
I feel like a lot of these are like kind of symptoms of one another, or very similar to one another.
They all kind of like do this and just kind of like
they're all cousins.
Yeah, they're definitely cousins.
Well, let us know in the comments what your worst change of 2025 is.
Post it on Twitter.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Post it on Bluesky. Send it to us in the mail. We'll read that. All right.
Favorite cards.
John, what's your favorite card? Where's the suit? There it is.
All right. I'm going to shock people. Card? It's Hogwarts Dovetail. I don't play Puffin. I wouldn't play Mechanologist unless it got really simple. But I think Hogwarts Dovetail is like the sickest card.
It's
I love modality.
That hard of a class.
I love modality. It's a 1 for. Is it a 1 for 5? Is it a 1 for 6 or 7 or 8? Or is it 1 for 7 with Go Again? There's a cool trick where you can send a 1 for 5 and then make it a 1 for 7. Hit, untap your cogs, and then tap one before resolution to give it Go Again. Like it's the quintessential. Aside from it costing 1 and not being playable in super redline aggro, it is the coolest piece of aggression that was released in 2025. It just does everything in a super fun, balanced way. And I would like to see more modality.
I'm very upset that this card exists because I opened 2 in Nat's draft and I was kind of just like, well, I guess I'm playing Puffin, and then I died to better deck. So I was like, cool, great.
There was that I've talked with Sean Dollywall since Nats, where he sort of clued me into what he does to prep for draft, which is just hard force the community perceived worst hero, be the only one in your pod, and then kill everyone. But US Nats in particular did have this real mindset of like, you never want to draft Puffin, to the point where in like day 2 Nats pods, you would see pick 6 Palantir because no one wanted to be Puffin. And you would have these like, well, there's 2 Puffins in the pod and they're playing their game 3 to see who's 2-1. Like, I understand.
Funny enough, that was actually me. I got a pick 6 Cogworks Dovetail in my day 2 Nats pod, and we 2-1'd it against another Puffin.
Maybe
I died to Scurv, and I also died to something else. I don't remember. I just blocked it out. I was so upset.
That sounds like a skill issue.
Yeah, it was. It probably was a skill issue.
All right, Hogwarts slot. I think it's a cool.
Tegan time. What is my favorite? Oh yeah, this card. I love this card. This card. Shut up. This is my favorite card. I get to be excited about a card. So I think this card rules. I've been playing Gravy. There's nothing as funny to me as double fearlessing something that they're sure is going to kill Chum, and then they're like, oh, Chum's going to be around another turn, and probably another turn after that, because that was my one big attack. And you just like see like your opponent's like color drain and they light leave their eyes. It's just great. I think it's an interesting card. I saved my compass from Evalda with it at one point, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I like it a lot. It's kind of the troll pick, but it's the one that does. It's kind of like Counterspell. They gave Grady Counterspell.
Famously, everyone's favorite card.
I know, it's one of my favorite cards. I love Counterspell. I guess sucks to suck if you don't like it, but
Rob, would you care to share your response?
yeah. What's your actually? Why don't you all wait? Because the
Yeah,
least favorite
we'll talk
card.
about it.
We'll talk about it, we'll talk about it.
Aurora, what's your favorite card?
All right, my favorite card was Saltwater Soul, which is, I guess, a little bit of a surprise. I think I also prefaced it with Outside of Gravy because I think it's a little bit more consistent in Gravy, but I think the card is actually really cool. I like the art on it a lot. I think the effect is really interesting, like kind of like a bullet hole, but it's RNG that you can sometimes kind of manipulate as well, which is really. I think the card's really neat. I wish it was a little bit better in Marlin, like if we had the ability to like run Skullbone cross wrap and you can like manipulate the top of your deck to like get more since Saltwater Soul, that'd be really cool. But I still think it's like one of my favorite cards. 1 for 3. But with upside.
I like the card. I think the idea of playing a card that pitches the top card of your deck if it meets certain criteria is like that was the thing that I didn't know the game could do, and I was like, oh yeah, like I thought it was really neat.
Yeah, I also think this card is like busted with like back alley break lane. Like
that's like my favorite interaction with the card. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I feel like there are some maybe questionable interactions with it, but I think overall the card effect itself is very unique.
I don't even use the extra action point half the time when it happens, but it's still like, ooh, value. And it's like, yeah, that wasn't going to be used.
All right. Rob, what is your favorite card?
My favorite card of this year was Tectonic Instability. For those of you who don't know it, because you probably haven't seen it, it's a 0-cost Guardian Blue with Go Again that says you both put your arsenals at the bottom of your deck for each person that does this draw card, and then you make a Seismic Surge for everybody that did it.
You got
it's a really cool way.
Dissolve Reality, kind of.
Exactly.
That was a really healthy card.
It's a blue Dissolve Reality that helps your Dominate hit and sets your you up for future Dominates in Volva, which is really cool. And effectively, if you're getting full value out of it, you are pitching itself as you cast it to get the resources for next turn, which is really neat.
All right. Did we have an overall favorite card? No, we did not.
Okay, we did not. We intentionally did not because this is a very subjective category, but I'm right and everyone else.
I'm right.
All right, know in the comments what your favorite card is.
Yeah, let us know why you like Fearless Confrontation.
Don't comment twice though.
No, comment 3 times.
Comment as many times as you want. We will be doing a drawing at the end of it.
Get that engagement up.
The winner we will reply to and say you're our friend personally. All right, John. Let's get into the real stuff. Why do you hate Light Up the Leaves?
I don't think any of our answers here are going to surprise anyone. You could probably guess what all these are. Light Up the Leaves. I want to give LSS credit because they designed these sets months in advance of the set actually being printed, and I don't think it's too controversial to say that LSS might not have a wizard tester on staff. It wouldn't be the first time that they've maybe missed or that I've heard rumors about a card doing something that was changed at the last minute. Light Up the Leaves is just like Verdance was fine coming into Super Slam at the end of ICs. I actually really liked that Verdance had a spot in the meta. She started out in Rosetta as this really bad deck, and then she got Ring of Roses in Hunted, which kind of didn't do anything to help her because it was just a one of that if you didn't find before turn 2, it didn't do anything. And then she got Everbloom and Burn Bear, and I thought, oh, she's like a real deck. She's Icelander. She's Bolander, and that's cool. And she has a fine win rate, and that's great. And then they gave her Light Up the Leaves, which was like not only a step too far, it was several steps too far, where it just did everything that Verdance needed it to do, short of being a blue. It was a finisher for Stormstriders. It was decompose fodder for decomposing. It was a turn 0 play that she could discard Light Up the Leaves and another Earth card and be online that much sooner. And it felt like LSS just really missed on it, like in an egregious way, where surely someone could have caught this. This wasn't like a Bonds of Ancestry in Zen where we all kind of missed it for 2 weeks until Putting Tam said combo good. This is like, it's just printed on the card that it does everything Verdance needs. So it really felt like you either went out of your way to miss on this one, or you just wanted Verdance to be a top deck, and she was already a top deck. So I hate this card. I wish they could, short of banning it, I wish they could just unprint it.
It's kind of wild how Light Up the Leaves almost represents like 2 additional turns in Verdance because you can like play it on turn 0, right? And then you get like either somewhere between like 6 or 8 damage. And then you can also play it on the Stormstrider's turn, and then it's just like another 8. So you basically like if depending on like when you see it, you kind of can get almost an additional like turn of value just because your opponent can't AP it.
And then you could also go online even a turn faster because it's additional Earth cards. Like it's just like it just adds so much onto it.
And it's a
Like-
3 block.
The funniest part, so I guess this actually is a fine segue to my least favorite card because it's also Light Up Leaves, but also Shelter. But Light Up Leaves is very funny because, like, ironically, like the preventing arcane damage is like the part of the card that matters the least. But yeah, so a little disclosure behind the scenes. We talked about this and decided overalls before recording this, and so there was a huge fight on this category, and so I voted with Light Up the Leaves to do a tie so we wouldn't have an overall. That was the card that I like. Anyway, so yeah, Shelter from the Storm is my personal least favorite card, and Light Up the Leaves is like a second least favorite. Shelter is upsetting because I think that D-reacts, like generic 0/4s like Fate and Sync, are kind of getting to the point where, hey, these aren't great in CC. They do too much, and they maybe. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe we see a Sync and Fate ban. Ooh, and then they're like, Shelter from the Storm, and printed Majestic, and it's like $80, and it just was so disheartening to see that there's another generic D-react, and that more than anything else, these cards are just going to be around, continue to be around forever for the rest until the world ends, seemingly. I hope not, but it's rough. It was another thing from the Hunted I didn't like.
One, it goes hand in hand with Flick Knives as being like that's why Shelter has its text is because
Yeah,
of
for
Flick
sure.
Knives. So you need shelters. If we didn't design several heroes around Flick Knives, we wouldn't have needed a defense reaction to play around Flick Knives.
The best part about it is to play around Syndra's stupid mask thing. What you have to do with Shelter is you're doing the same exact thing that you'd be doing if you just let the Flick Knives hit, which is you commit a card to block and then you block another card, so you're still doing the exact same thing. It's terrible. It banned Flick Knives, but also Flick Knives would be my least favorite card if it came out this year, but it didn't, unfortunately. So yeah, so Aurora, what is your least favorite cards? This is gonna be a running theme.
I'm actually gonna cut Shelter.
Oh, you are the worst.
Yeah. All right.
John, quick, put it on your.
Actually,
I mean, I'm actually totally fine to change mine to Shelter.
yes.
We were talking about this earlier, but you really sold me. I was just thinking about it all day today. Like, oh yeah, I forgot that I wanted the D-reacts banned, and Shelter ruined it.
Oh man, the come from behind win.
Yeah, but anyways, I actually removed Shelter just because I think like a lot of decks aren't running Fate right now, so like it's kind of a problem for later, but not like right this second. Like I think there are a couple decks that run all nine D-Rex, like RKO, Jarl, unfortunately, some other decks. But like overall, I feel like Shelter's like kind of a problem. It's a problem, but it has like an answer in that like you can run Fate if you're like a budget player or whatever. Is like a totally reasonable. But Fearless Confrontation, oh my god, this card is so tilting. I feel like this card was like, I can't tell if it has to be like a design miss, right? Because like I don't think they ever intended this card to like work the way it does against allies. At least it feels like to me. Like
If I have any faith in LSS as like a dev team, this was a miss. Like this, like
it has to
I
be.
can't in good conscience say they're good at their jobs and I love what they're doing in this game. And they're like, yeah, this is we're gonna kill your Blood Rush turn by having you discard 1 blue.
Yeah, Aurora said the other day, if you double Fearless me, I'm going to be so upset. And then I double Fearless her, and I just saw her like sing in her chair. I'm like, this is great. Like, I'm having a good time.
So anyways, I feel like this card was designed so that if you're being attacked at your face, Dominate, like you have some way to interact with Dominate, which is fine.
Yeah, I think that's a great interaction. I like that card coming from a Guardian set, where it's like you don't want to give Guardian too much. You do actually want to have some some counterplay to it, and that's fine.
Yeah. But the fact that this targets allied or like targets attacks that are targeting allies doesn't feel like it's an intended thing, and it like I think it's actually kept out like tons of heroes from the game. Like
Yeah.
this singular card is kind of wild.
They should print a yellow one that has 6 power and gives -2. Ooh, how about that?
All right, get Tegan on the dev team.
Get me on
You're
the dev
banned.
team. I have all sorts of ideas.
But yeah, it's like the combination of Fearless plus Sawbones plus Chum plus like all the other allies that you like need to deal a certain threshold of damage. You have to now plan to basically deal an additional damage to it, which is kind of like very taxing.
Rob, yours is also Fearless Confrontation.
Yeah, because it sucks. I remember I read this card. I like got up in the morning and I was looking at the spoilers and I was like, okay, this game's bad now. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is like, it's such an easy fix. You just errata to say, only if it's an attacks targeting a hero. Like it's just like, in no world should I be able to protect my ally with just discarding a card when you're putting three cards into an attack into an ally. Like if I was to swing at someone's whaler and I was like, here is 7 damage coming in, they're like, discard this, boom, time walk you. That's just like time walk is a bit like it's like a part of the power 9 for a reason, and you're like, we're gonna have it as a blue block 3 that it pairs really nicely with your prismatic ley line. Wouldn't that be really cool?
Yeah, it's also
I
not
love
just
attacking
on
with
rate
it.
for a blue. Like you
Yeah.
bring up a really good point. Like it isn't like it's cost 3, deal 1 or something, block 2. It's like no, this is just a good blue to play.
Yeah.
I
KO
played it on
plays it.
Prismatic. I played it on Prismatic Leyline turn and just like, oh, I guess like this is a 2-card 8 now. And yeah, it was great. Like super fun card.
So I think we
So yeah,
tie.
so this is gonna be great. The overall is all 3. So
All
at one
three
point,
cards suck.
at one point we had it voted in such a way where there was like literally 2 votes for all 3 cards.
I think we've consolidated that
But-
lineup. Lineup leaves is a problem, but I
Yeah.
think that's an honorable.
But I think all 3 of these cards, well, I think 2 of these cards, me personally, are like stinkers and one of them's cool, but like other people hate it, so whatever. Who
At
knows?
least they're all from different sets, I guess. It isn't like they just hard missed on like high seas and printed 3 things that people hate.
That's true. Yeah, I guess. It's
It-
right out.
Hey,
It took me a second to realize that you weren't being sarcastic.
no, they are all from different sets.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
It is good.
All right, you want to get it? So what's the best product, John?
Well,
Explain why none is the best product.
so when I wrote this out, it seemed very negative, and I don't mean it that way. I mean it as maybe negative. There's no set that stood out to me. There are some sets that stand out when we get to worst product, but as far as best product, there was nothing that really jumped out as like this was good or this was novel. Like I think the armory decks are really good, but that wasn't created in 2025. I think supplemental sets are really good. Like Mastery Pad Guardian was good, but there were some design flaws with that, and we didn't get supplemental sets in 2025. So as far as 2025 goes, it was to me just a standard year. Like we got some sets, we got some armory decks. There was some supplemental product that wasn't for me. Like I don't know who Smash Palace was for, but it wasn't for me. There wasn't anything that I can point to like, yeah, if we get more of that, that's gonna save FaB. Like if we do 2026 year in review, this would be great for Compendium of Wraith. Like the set that brings an alternate format into the limelight. In 2025, I guess that was the Prism Viscerae decks, which were really hard for people to get, and also just reintroduced Dirge for 3 weeks, and that sucked. So
Well, hold off
Just
on
nothing
singing
nothing
Compendium
stood
phrases yet. You don't know.
Nothing
Who knows? Compendium could be a nightmare
Yeah.
for the game. So,
they print Light Up the Leaves 2, and it's blue.
Oh yeah.
lighter up the leaves.
Light even more up the leaves.
Oh yeah, I thought that I was like, wow, this is like kind of a doomer thing, but like you explaining it makes it sound a lot more like reasonable and not just like I hate everything this
Yeah,
year.
like it was a standard year. And even personally, I enjoy playing Slippy. I guess the Hunted could have been my product of the year because it gave me a hero that I like playing. But even then, I peaked with Aurora, so you know, there's nothing. It didn't even occur to me initially, like, oh, I guess that could have been. It's like, no, catch it caught me last year would have been Rosetta because it gave me Aurora.
All right, well let's so what was mine? High Seas. I like High Seas a lot. I thought that Necromancer being a playable, and not just playable, but like good class right out of the gate was actually like hugely important to have happen.
It was okay.
Well, so the last class they did that for was Assassin, which for a long time just was kind of like a class that people like. It was like the subject of jokes, right? It's like, oh, Assassin's not good, don't play Assassin. Um, but like having Gravy be like a deck that is like, a real respectable choice to bring to a competitive event right immediately from the first set, especially with like the Armory deck, I think was like a great choice. And then I also just really like the IC's limited environment. I loved, and like I'm not a huge lore person, but I really liked the setting and the art of High Seas. I thought it was like colorful and bright for a lot of it, and then like the the necromancer stuff was creepy in a cool way. The only thing that I didn't enjoy from High Seas was treasure packs because they put the cold foils in those. Um, and also riches. I didn't like riches. But we'll probably talk about that later, I guess, maybe. But yeah, I thought in terms of just sets in general, like High Seas was something that um I thought they did a really good job on, and I enjoyed playing during High Seas. Um, it's still kind of high C season, unfortunately. But yeah, so
It's not
that's
Super
mine.
Slam season.
It's not super.
It's not Super Slam season.
No.
Aurora, what's your favorite set or product? Hold on. High Seas asterisk. Okay.
The High Seas is with an asterisk. I actually really like the designs. Like the uh High Seas, I guess, feels a lot like MST, where the designs feel like really unique. Like you have classes that are kind of feeling like what the class is, and not just like Fang just feels like a 0 for 4 deck, or like Cinder feels like a 0 for 4 deck. Like I feel like the Hunted actually was a big like flavor like hero mechanic fail for me. I don't know. I feel like it didn't really like spark any real interest when every class is like kind of just playing like the best like red 0 for 4.
Did you know they're royal?
They're royal, yeah, they're
Yeah.
also royal. But like I see it like all the heroes felt like very mechanically unique. Like you have like Puppet making cogs, you have Gravy like summoning allies, you have Marlin shooting like big arrows and stuff like that. Like the harpoons and stuff like also felt really good. And it's also really cool. Marlin's probably my favorite thing to come out of High Seas, even though Marlin has her own like separate issues, I guess, in like LO or whatever. But my asterisk here is like I think that like while the design has been good, and like the initial like power fantasy, I guess, of the heroes felt really good, the balance has felt like very, very off ever since like maybe it was with the Hunted as well. Like something this year, like just like balance wise, has felt very off, and like how different heroes are able to like interact with each other. So like I'm temper like I think High Seas was maybe the best product this year, but I'm tempering it a little bit with I think it could have definitely been better if the heroes were on a little bit more playing field.
I have a little opinion. I think a lot of the balance issues that we're feeling are kind of the result of
The book ban,
the book ban, and like we haven't hit the point where that's happened yet, and the sets are being designed post that. It's like
Well, was High Seas designed with the mind?
Yeah, it was
so
100%.
absolutely
was.
for sure, yeah. So it takes I don't know how long it takes for FaB, but for Magic it's like 3 years, right? So like they go into like vision design, and they like work through like, all right, what's like the idea of the set, and like it take from the time of like what is the set going to be to it coming out is like a 3 year period, and there's certain points along the way where it's like we cannot change this. It is done. That's too bad that is no longer working, but we have to see it through.
I don't
And
think FaB is 3 years though.
I don't know if
thought it was
FaB
like
is
a
3
year.
years. It
It's
might be
about a
like,
year or so,
yeah,
from what I understood.
I don't know.
I think from what I understand, I think Pen is the set that should be coming up after the book ban.
Yeah.
Because they had High Seas done, or they were like testing High Seas, I think, when MST came out.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But one thing I realized is that Fearless Confrontation was printed and done before Gravy was like cooked. So
Yeah,
that
that's
makes a
good.
lot of sense of like
Okay.
this is why the interaction is the way it is, because it wasn't like designed in mind with that. Because it was delayed so much, we didn't have confrontation like texted properly.
I kind of wish they would do the thing they did with Snag with Heroes Company. I guess Snag. I don't know if the wording was like correct the first time around or if it was. Like, I wish they kind of just like said like, "Hey, we made a mistake. It should work."
They functionally changed how that. They also like changed how like the traps work.
Yeah,
as well. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
like
not the old traps. The old traps are the same, but they
yeah.
changed the trap text going forward.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
like the playing it from Arsenal is now no longer tied to the trap.
yeah,
Okay.
traps
Yeah.
as a type.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, yeah, I think that just like as an aside, I think we're still feeling the repercussions of like we expected these cards to be around, and because of that, like the game feels weird. It was going to feel weird for a long time, post tome ban. I think yeah, like a compendium is we know these are gone, then that is I think when we are going to start to see like uh the game to stop feeling is weird. Like there's like a bunch of cards that are missing. Yes.
Yeah. They also said with that like Rosetta ban, they were like, we're gonna bring a lot more heroes like closer in matchups. And so I'm hoping with a set full of cards for every hero, to see things line up where they're supposed to.
Be nice.
All right, Rob, what's your
Rob,
favorite?
what is
It's kind of-
one?
oh, I don't know what. Sorry, this should be
What is
armor
that?
deck.
One.
There we
One.
go. Armor deck Ira is my favorite product this year. It could be High Seas, but I think there's too many balance issues for me to say. I loved High Seas Limited, but I think Armor deck Ira is a great deck in terms of value prop and introducing a new archetype into the game. It made Katsu somewhat relevant off of being on his deathbed. And I think it's a good product that you could just buy for someone who's new to the game and just hand to them, and they can have a fun time in Armory. But I think
Yeah.
it does what an Armory deck is supposed to do. It supports competitive play, and it's got decent reprints. And I think it's everything that a Armory deck should be.
Or the reprints in Ira.
Bitter Thorns, right?
Red Bittering Thorns and Sink Below.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I played Katsu shortly after that came out, and I had a ton of fun. I think that deck is cool. Like the only thing I was disappointed with is like the actual Ira CC deck is still the same sort of thing. Like when you build Ira to be like a competitive CC deck, but what it did for Katsu was awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like it did end up being like a Katsu armor deck, but it's still cool for Katsu. I don't know. Yeah.
Also, it reprints the Ira Hero card, which people were concerned about, like quantities of, because it was like the
promo.
5th year promo. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like it's solving problems left, right, and center. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good
it's
product.
cool.
Well, we said overall probably high seas.
Hesitantly high seas.
Hesitantly high seas.
Yeah.
I don't think that there was a single product this year where I felt like every part of this just completely
Was
rocks
perfect.
and
Yeah.
is perfect. Like there are issues with like I think literally every single thing that came out this year, but like
And they're not like minor issues.
they're not minor issues, but I think there's still like there was still a lot of good stuff that came out this year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Let's get
Back to the negative.
yeah. This is where our bread is
That's
buttered.
where we get the engagement.
This
Let's
is where the
go.
engagement.
All right, John,
make
you
YouTube
hated
shorts.
high seas. Why?
So contrary to Tegan and Aurora, I think their opinions are trash because High Seas sucked for a couple of reasons. So I put High Seas here because of treasure packs because I thought they were terrible. I don't like the cold foil. No, and you brought that up. So you know some of your opinions are trash. No, so I thought the treasure packs were bad because they took the cold foils out. They took the I guess it was just the cold foils, but like such a cool part of sets going into high seas with it, you could be drafting. You go to your LGS, it's set release, you do your draft because no one has the cards to build constructed yet, and someone rips a $200 Marvel. Like that's awesome, and everyone's excited. It's this big moment for the store, and that just didn't happen in high seas. It all got gated to the treasure pack, which then it's up to each individual store. What are they going to do with the treasure pack? Do they raffle it? Do they sell it? Going to callings run by Star City Games, they would just take the pack out of the high seas box and then sell it for prize ticks. Like calling Philadelphia 3 days ago, I had 1,200 ticks. I went to the prize wall on Sunday. I said, "Can I buy a box of high seas?" They said, "You can buy 24 packs of high seas." SCG had just made the change still. So I thought the treasure packs were terrible. And I was so glad that we weren't doing treasure packs anymore. And then they spoil Compendium, where we have, I don't know, whatever they're calling them now, but still treasure packs. Like, that's so bad.
Archive?
But-
Is it archive?
There are
It's
antiquities packs.
Antiquities. That's what
Antiquities
But-
packs.
Yeah.
But I will say this with the compendium, the cards that are reprinted there are also in the set as reprints, and the cold
Yeah.
foils are in the set. So it's just the fancy frames.
It is
So-
just the.
So
Yes.
No, kind
We
of.
made them.
it's still an issue.
They
but,
made them slightly better. And I thought, well, hey, at least, like treasure packs, you could open Expedition to Bullshit compared to your buddy opens cold foil gold baited hook and you feel bad that you opened no money. At least they fixed that in Antiquity. And then they said, well, no, because Pursuit of Knowledge. Like,
No. That's not a card from the pack. It's the release promo you get for the release event.
okay. Well, then I'll
Pursuit
reserve
knowledge
judgment.
kicks ass, by the way.
There
The
could
card
be
is
dog
cool.
shit in the packs.
I
but,
reserve
like,
judgment on the monetary value of Antiquities packs. But then I will also say for High Seas, Tegan and Aurora brought this up. It was not my intention when I put High Seas down as the worst product, but the resurgence of playable fables and like mandatory fables for certain heroes is
Yeah.
really bad for the game. Like,
Yeah.
so
Uh,
absolutely. At least we have Silver Age, but like needing a $300 fable or else you just lose 5% from your Kasai or Marlin deck is terrible. And then they double down on it with a Taya. Like, what are we doing?
I love having to run all 3 fables as Mark. It's so fun.
I have all the fables, so I don't care.
Why do care? Because Tegan is
Honestly,
using,
fair.
Tegan's
It's
using
my
fables.
eye.
It is.
I also opened the Riches of Trobaldani, which I'm happy to loan to you. That was Riches of Trobaldani was also kind of like because I opened that at pre-release. They did the thing where they put the packs between the 2 players, and whoever wins gets one. That was like I opened it in front of the guy, and it was Riches, and I was like, oh, like I feel like a jerk. It felt so bad. I wish that they wouldn't do. But let's talk about what my worst product is. Oh, that's surprising.
You want to change it to something else?
No, okay, all right, I can rock with this. So I thought I wrote the Hunted. I hate the Hunted, but that's like a whole other thing.
It's playable though.
Well, so I think part of the reason I put this was people like the heroes in the Hunted for some strange reason, but whatever. Mastery Pack Guardian was this thing that I thought was going to be something else. So like the words Mastery Pack, I was like, oh boy, it's like Guardian Horizons for Magic, right? Where it's like we're injecting a bunch of new cards into the class. This is our chance to do stuff that isn't limited by you got to be able to draft it, and there's got to be like a balance between this, the heroes in the set or whatever. So it's like here's a bunch of interesting shit you can do with Guardian, and it was not that. It was something completely different. It was this weird crack shuffle play thing. It had a bunch of reprints from WTR of all things, and most of the new stuff was directed at making Valda playable hero in CC, which is fine. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but I felt like I was sold a bill of false goods on this one. And I was like, and I'm not a Guardian player, but I did feel like, well, if this is what Mastery Packs are, like, Mastery Pack Wizard just going to be like a bunch of Surge cards from Dynasty again? Like, I hope not. So it felt like this one wasn't thought through all the way, and there was just like a bunch of stuff that happened around it. It was rough. It got delayed, so they could release alongside Smash Palace, which is a thing that I don't know if any of us have actually played or interacted with at all. So
No, Centaur ladies from.
yeah, there was a bunch of heroes in that apparently that are all for UPF. But yeah, Mastery Pack Guardian I thought was just like they kind of did not it was not what I thought it was in like the worst possible way.
I think a lot of people had very different what it was supposed to be. Like, I thought it was going to give support to all the Guardians and not just like kind of print some middle Guardian cards.
I asked other people like, hey, what did you think Mastery Pack Guardian was going to be? And I think multiple people. I think John, I asked you like, did you think this was going to be a Modern Horizon style thing? And you were like, kind of a little bit.
I did. I thought it was going to be sort of a combination of what you both said. It was going to be support for all of the Guardians, but like, how do you support the Guardians in fun and interesting ways? I didn't think it was going to be more Clash for Victor or more big dumb attacks for Bravo. I thought it was going to be support for all of the Guardians, but like just divergent ways, or here's a new archetype for original Bravo, or here's a new archetype for Victor. And yeah, instead it was like the two best cards to come out of it were Test of Iron Grip, which how masterful do you feel flipping the top card of your deck and having it be more power than what your opponent did? And the best card for Gravy. Like it was just joked about as being Mastery Pack Gravy because
Well,
Fearless Confrontation was the
What
best card in the set, and
what
Guardian
I will
didn't.
say is I think this aligns up less with Horizon set and more like a Yu-Gi-Oh deck building set where you can just buy a box and like put it together. Like you can put together like a decent deck. Like I can build Sage decks for Volda incredibly easy by just by like cracking a couple packs, putting it together, and like you have like a reasonable deck with bulk. I will say I didn't like the shrinking from one rare or two rares to one rare and making foils less common and keeping the price the same. That sucks. Um, but I think I get to see where they're going with this. Of like you can buy this just box and you can just like have a new deck. Um, but I think it didn't line up with people's expectations, which is a bummer.
I think the marketing is the worst part of this product. Just like
Oh,
it,
by
it feels
far.
like introductory pack Guardian or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is
Starter
like
Pack Guardian.
Yeah.
a base level product. If you're new and you want to try Guardian, buy this.
Beginner pack Guardian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that would be a great name, but Mastery Pack. Like I was like, oh, we're gonna maybe even get Guardian Legendary Legs, and then we got generic Legendary Legs, which I like.
Our kind of Guardian.
I like those cards. I like that card, but like it was just like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was gonna be at all. So
Mhm.
Yeah, it was like
that's
Steps Guardian.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
something like I feel like the branding is maybe the worst.
Civic Steps Guardian.
All right. What did I also? I think I also put.
You put Armory Deck Max, which is a thing I would have put if I remembered it existed.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
So funny story. I bought what is that card? I bought the Assemble Nitro Mechanoids because I was hyped to start playing Max, and then I thought it was gonna be like a deck that like have like two different game plans. Like you do the wrench game plan into some decks, and then you do like the Mechanoid game plan into like other decks. And then it just turned out the wrench plan was just like terrible, like unplayably like bad. And then everyone on the Max Discord was like, "Oh yeah, you just like there's no new cards. It's bad."
Like you don't play any of the cards.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
So
It's sad.
I also they didn't like reprint Mechanoid in the deck, did they?
They did not.
Absolutely not.
They did not. And they were like, it's a wrench plan, and it's not Mechanoid at
And
all.
then they didn't like really print much else for the wrench plan. I guess they have been printing a lot of like I feel like Max is starting to get the Riptide treatment, which is kind of interesting.
I guess, but yeah, I forgot that this came out. I was just like, oh, that did nothing.
We have a copy of it.
You bought a copy of
Yeah.
maybe. I don't even remember.
No, I think I bought the Dio one and I didn't even buy the Max one.
Yeah, I think I don't even know if I've seen it being sold at the store we go to anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
I think us saying that it has the Riptide treatment is probably like the worst indictment of any hero we can give because like
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
like, you can see some people's eyes glaze over when anyone wants to like talk about Riptide and like all the specs he has. It's just like shit doesn't work, man. I'm just tired of the expansion slot. I don't think it quite lines up. I'm the same way. I think Armory Deck Max is a bad product. Imagine buying this for someone and giving it to them, and like their first experience of playing FaB is
Oh.
Armory Deck Max.
That
And like I
sucks.
wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No.
I think they were trying to do something cool. Like it felt like okay, so this is what I thought the deck was going to be, but I thought it was going to be like Zen, where you have like the 9 hyperdrivers in the deck, and you're trying to like do something funky when you draw your hyperdrivers, and like you know,
Yeah, they're like Chi.
so yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be, and then it was not like that.
Absolutely
No.
not.
I wonder if they thought High Octane was around.
Also
making this.
possible,
That could be it.
Probably.
possible, but I don't think that makes the wrench plan any better.
I don't know. Like
It has to make it a little bit better.
Maybe.
it just seems like they didn't like. I don't know. It just it was just bad.
Yeah.
I forgot that this came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone explained to me that they wanted bad armory decks that would stay in stock, so that way somebody could buy it when they go to the store. And that makes no sense to me.
No, that's
That's a terrible idea.
All right. Worst product, Armory deck, Matt.
Yeah, I would have
Alright.
to give it. I forgot that it existed, and if I didn't
Yeah.
forget that it existed, it probably would have been my worst one as well. But yeah, I think this was like a wet fart of a thing that came out this year.
Most interesting
Absolutely.
deck now.
All right, John, why do you think Gravy Bones is interesting? He is.
Gravy-
Why do you think?
Gravy Bones just has like infinite decision points at any point in either turn cycle, and that's so interesting. I don't like playing the deck. I'm not good at it. Aside from that, think that the deck is probably too strong in some ways. I did my BNR crash out rant video where I identified infinite, here are 10 cards that are too strong because they're all some variant of Pot of Greed or Belittle. So I think that the deck has some real problems with it, but aside from that, it just like is infinitely cool. It has so many decision points. It has so many ways to pivot the game just based on every hand, based on the top card of your deck. When do you compass? Do you break gold or do you use a gold? Like, when do you block with equipment? When do you cash in stuff? Which ally are you going to play? What are you going to call to the grave for? It just has so many permutations of turn cycles and feels like it really rewards just as many reps as you can put into it. Like, you could put 5,000 reps into the deck and you will still not be as good as you will be when you put 10,000 reps in because you will have learned things that you just didn't see in those first 5,000 games. I think it's really cool.
I agree. It was my most interesting deck of the year. I've been playing it. I think it's what I'm going to be playing, especially because Kano is so close to LLing. But yeah, I have thoroughly enjoyed how deep the play patterns of the deck are. I've started like my own like little notes page about like, hey, this is an interaction that you can do. Just because it's like, okay, like I feel like I need to kind of put these somewhere because it's easy to forget. Um, yeah, the deck is super interesting. I think especially with the Tipple ban, it's become very reactive. Instead of just like you play Tipples and you make gold and you just like vomit value. Like you still vomit value, but like you need to care about what your opponent's doing. So like the sideboard is really interesting. Like you've got a ton of different stuff and like a different way to approach like almost every hero. It's neat. Like it's also especially neat coming from Kano and just which is a deck where it's like the sideboard plan exists for like 4 guys, and then the rest of it you just run the same 60 into. Um, so yeah, I think it's a super interesting deck. I really like it, and yeah, let's get into it. Aurora,
I think
Marlon.
probably it's a surprise to no one. I really like Marlon. It's really cool to play coming off of Zen to play a deck that does shuffle. So you can like kind of do like your red blue counting and your pitch stack and stuff like that. I think that like the decision points on like when to crack gold and stuff are really interesting. She also feels like a little bit more fair than Gravy because you don't have like the ally thing going on, but you still have like some pretty good disruptive stuff as well. So I enjoy like the play patterns of Marlon. I also enjoy just like how she feels and like the decision points, I guess.
Yep, I'm in the same boat. I love the deck with 15 copies of Thoughtseize. I think that's good game design.
Yeah.
I like to play it. To me, she's kind of like a fair version of Gravy, where you get the fun, cool pirate cards, and you don't have to deal with ally bullshit. I think that's really cool. I do wish she got to play Long Draw Half Glove instead of Hook, but as just like a way to like get around warmongers or like fix things, I think it's interesting. But yeah, I think she's.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go for it. No, go for it.
I said, unfortunately, like, long draw, like you need some way to like load after long draw, which is really awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warmongers is still like a really big issue for
Mhm.
but I still think it's
It is.
cool even with Warmongers being around. But that card is just like a time walk, like maybe 60% of the time or something like that.
It's brutal.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's a deck like I'm considering playing for the upcoming Archean season. It's really fun. It's pretty cool. I'm glad it's kind of getting its time to shine.
Yeah. If you need a list, let me know. I don't think we've talked
I'll
about
ask.
Marlon.
Cool. So yeah, so we said height C hero design, most interesting deck. Like I think High Seas had like a ton of interesting designs. Maybe not Puffin, but
Puffin was still pretty cool.
I think Puffin has some dynamic
above
stuff
average.
going on. She's
She's more
definitely
interesting than any hero in Hunted, I would say.
like she's missing
That's true.
pieces. I
The
think
bars.
that's like her biggest indictment. Gravy feels like a fully fleshed out deck. I think Marlin could be missing a card or two. Puffin feels like she's missing 3 or 4 or 5, but as soon as she gets them, she like on her face can do the Aurora thing of just 4 card 16s. Like all of her cards are 0 for 4s that have go again in some way. And then you add backspin thrust, and now Sky Skimmer, backspin thrust, and a cog with whatever the free gun is. It's just a 2 card 10. Like she in theory can
Spitfire.
do very cool things. Spitfire. I always call it Shitfire, and then I actually blank on the real name of the card. I want to give a shout out to Marlin for being a living legend deck, like a real living legend deck. Like
Yeah.
one that if people hadn't known that it existed, 2 weeks before Worlds, could have actually like won Worlds.
Sorry, one last note. I do actually think Puffin, like we didn't mention it, but I think Puffin also is about as cool as like Marlin and Gravy. I think we just play the decks more.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. John, why is Florian the most snooze for ZZZ deck of the year for you?
He just like hasn't changed. I know as much as I've like accused LSS of just putting too much into Verdance and making her too good. I feel like Florian just he came out in what September of 24, whenever Rosetta came out, was immediately solved and then hasn't changed from that. And he's gotten support. Like he got Trot Along, but that was just like it's a 3 block blue and it works with your bark skin and it's also in the deck. And then like they banned Germinate, and the deck didn't exist anymore because it was just Germinate.deck. And then Germinate came back, and he's still just the same deck. And for like a minute, he had Scepter, and Scepter was even more boring because then the entire deck was just like every D react that Florian could possibly play, like 15 4 blocks, the other 2 colors of Rootbound, and then anything that said make a rune chant on it. He's just like, there's nothing interesting or fun or cool about Florian. It's just numbers. It's just numbers. And there's nothing besides the numbers. And then if you ban Germinate, the deck dies.
I don't know if it was Germinate dying killed the deck as much as like the meta changing. Because like Germinate died and then they introduced Gravy, and then
Yeah,
it
that's
just
true.
kind of
But then
Yeah.
Germinate, I don't know. The deck is just there's nothing to it. There's no dynamic play as far as I know. But I did I put this on here specifically for Scepter Florian, which was like the most boring pile of bullshit that anyone did. It's like I'm gonna lose this
made me
game. It's
stop
gonna
playing
take me win or lose. This game will take me 45 minutes.
Probably guess mine's gonna be it's Syndra. I think Syndra is the most boring aggro deck that they've ever had in the game. I know there's a number of people who kind of agree with this who are aggro players. I don't find the interaction of Flick and Mask was cool like the first time I heard about it, and it has become less cool exponentially every single time I see it happen. So at this point it's like just a black hole of like lameness. And then outside of that, the deck is also just like dishwater boring. There's nothing interesting about it. It is a pile of cards that you play every turn, and then you try and kill your opponent as fast as humanly possible. I hate this hero. I hate the Hunted. I would rather watch, I don't know, anything other than another Syndra stream game. I'd watch an Acilia stream game before another Syndra stream game, and I hate Acilia, so that should tell you where I'm at with this. But yeah, Aurora, why do you think that? Hold on, Burdens is boring. Besides the obvious.
So if you look at the top 3 decks right now, you have Gravy, which can do a million interesting things a turn. Then you have Syndra, who is kind of interesting. Like she does. Okay, so Syndra's not like super complex or anything, but like you do kind of have to like at least somewhat think through like your dagger management. You have to like think about like what cards are left in your deck and like how many 1 cost. Like there's some complexity there with like there's a very small sliver there.
Yeah, there's like real play to sequencing, and like there's actual mistakes you can make in Zen.
yeah.
I'm sorry for laughing because when you
No,
said,
no, you
when you
can't-
said dagger management, I'm like, what, like picking them up and then putting them on the
like
Occasionally, are you going to use your vest to make a resource to get your daggers back because you only attacked with 2 draconics?
like there's some small sliver of like sequencing complexity that okay, I'll give that to senior players, sure. Burdens, on the other hand, is like you play the card. You play the card. Like there's not like do you block or do you play the card? It's like there's not really a ton of like complex like sequencing. There's not like I don't know. It's just like you basically just do your best value math every turn and then you like storm strikers kill your opponent. Like it's not really like that complex. Like there are some like fatigue matchups which are like maybe a little bit more difficult, but like even then you're still just kind of like doing your like earth value math. So I don't know. I feel like Burdens you're basically just playing like the same either 2 card 8 or 2 card 6 arcane like every single turn.
It's Bolander, but without the parts of Bolander that are interesting.
Yeah, without like the without the disruption and interaction, it's just like uninteractive above rate damage, uninteractive above rate damage.
You just put training wheels on Icelander, basically.
Yeah, it's Bolander paint by numbers. Like Bolander was fun and interesting because it had all this like everything in Icelander was below rate, but then when you put it all together, it became above rate and interesting.
Yeah.
And then LSS just took the floor out of Icelander and said, okay, but just what if everything was above rate by itself and then also above rate together?
Yeah.
Burdens to me feels like LSS was like, oh, people really like Bolander. That means they like playing attacks, specifically like high value attacks at Wizard, and they made that deck. And I think that there are people who like that deck, but I think that is a boring thing to intentionally design because Bolander wasn't intentional, which was the cool part.
Yes.
It was a happy accident.
It's also you're like a wizard, but you're majority of the time just like playing whatever on your turn. Like you're not like except the Storm Strider's turn, like you're basically just doing like I don't know, like it's kind of like just Guardian math but better.
It's like MASH, Muscles and Magic, except it's not funny or interesting.
Something like that. You know.
All right, Rob, you agree with Aurora that Burdens is boring.
Yeah, she sucks. Like what made Icelander like fun and interesting was like learning the holes in your opponent's. It's like the resource management, being able to like sidestep and to interrupt to the right point. It felt like you were like very tactfully and understanding that your opponent did, and was very high seal cap. It's like there were a lot of pitfalls you could fall into, but it feels like with Verdance, you're like, oh, I got a felling. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This every single turn, and I'm just a little sick of it.
Do you remember that Icelander game? I think it was Michael Hamilton playing, where he kind of read that his opponent had a D-React in Arsenal and then proceeded to not attack the rest of the game.
Yes.
Because Icelander could do that. Like you can't do that with Verdance. I mean,
no, you can.
You can
You
if
totally can.
you totally you can, but like it's not the same.
No.
Like
Yeah, now. Yeah.
you can now, but I don't know. What was our? Oh, okay. Hold on. Earth Heroes. Earth Heroes are snooze, you lose.
Yeah, I feel like they just don't like of the elemental designs. Lightning is go again, good damage. It's like okay, boring, a little plain, but the game needs it. Ice is disruption, which again, good, great, game needs it. We haven't really seen it lately, which is why we have Syndra as a top 3 deck. And then Earth was just like defense, which I don't think the game needs as much. Like there needs to be defensive decks, and fatigue being viable is not ideal, but I like fatigue being something that people can do. But just them being like, no, Earth is just its defense, but with Rosetta, it's better. It's like, no, that's not fun or interesting. Like Crown was kind of fun and interesting a little bit because you could then build around Crown. Rootbound is just like it's 4.
I'm sorry. Are you saying Crown is in Crown of Seeds or
Crown of Seeds. Yes.
Are you advocating we bring back Crown of Seeds?
I am not advocating we bring back Crown of Seeds. I am advocating that if we are going to have Earth be just good defensive numbers, that it be more interesting than Rootbound for 4.
So I will say also Plume I feel like made everything less interesting, but at the same time Plume was like its own separate issue. Like
I will say so. I played Florian after Rosetta came out, and I think until Hunted, like I really liked that deck before it became the you stack the runes deck. Um, I think that like so FaB doesn't have mid range heroes in the way that a lot of card games do. Like because kind of everything is value math, right? But Florian felt like I was playing like Jund from Magic, like the original like, Florian, not like whatever it was with the rune chance. So I had like a fondness for him for sure. Um, but yeah, like with Verdance especially, it's just like to me, there's only so much that you can see a deck where it's like, well, the cool thing about this deck is the numbers are good before you just kind of like want to tune out completely. Um, yeah, well, let's
Oh,
keep.
also, sorry, there is actually a good Earth hero. It's Terra.
Okay,
Terra's cool. I like Terra.
all right. Let's talk about. We're getting into it. We're getting the last two. Our biggest surprise and our biggest disappointment. John, your biggest surprise this year was LL at Worlds. Is this like a good surprise?
It started good and then it went bad. It's a surprise either way, positive or negative. I thought that we were pretty locked on CC draft for tier 4 events as being the dual format. I thought that LL, one, the departure from that was a surprise, and then LL being the chosen format was also a surprise. I was initially, I guess I would say tentatively positive on it. I was just concerned that they were jumping the gun, that they were rushing into it without any data to back it up and support the format, and that all ended up being the case. But I was tentatively excited that LSS knew something that I didn't, and it turns out, no, they knew exactly as much as I did. But that was a surprise. It was my biggest surprise, good or bad.
That's fair. Mine was Silver Age. So I'm fun fact about me, love high powered format. I like doing broken things in card games, my favorite. So like Commoner was the thing where it's just like I don't want to play a deck of just and when I saw Project Blue, it was like I don't want to play a deck of just commons, but you can throw in some and then Silver Age was like, it's like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. And I played a few games on our 24-hour stream with Rob, and it went from like I'm talking to the chat to I got really quiet because I was really focusing on the game, and I was like, oh, this is very fun. Um, I was shocked. I didn't expect to like Sage nearly as much as it turns out I do like Sage. I'm also just surprised that they're supporting it as well as they're going to be. I think that it's really cool, and I am like, yeah, I think overall it's just a thing that I did not expect to either enjoy or to like, or even really to see be pushed in the way it has been. And yeah, it's a pleasant surprise, honestly. Aurora, you think that tapping's a huge surprise. Why is
Tapping myself.
you're tapping yourself? You're
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought tapping was actually really surprising. Like we've had like the templating be for so long that like like Ashwings don't tap and other stuff like nothing has ever tapped before, but you like have to like represent it by like tapping it. So it's cool that they actually like made tapping a real thing. Um, it's kind of neat. Like it I feel like it actually helps a lot in terms of like showing what's already been done. Like if like Dio tapped, that would also be like really cool because you can like do like the Dio activation. Like I think some people even do that.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
It's nice not having to ask.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
did
my
you
locals
use Dio
do.
this
My
turn?
locals will tap.
Yeah. But I think tapping was like a really good change just for like gameplay management or like stuff. I don't know. I think it was a very good visual change that I didn't see.
The only thing I
Mhm.
don't like about tapping after playing Gravy and Paper a bunch now is like the zones. It gets in the way of the zones in like a
Yeah.
way that's kind of frustrating sometimes.
Mhm.
It's like my hook is bumping my dead threads and that is bumping my hat and then Gravy is bumping the compass and so everything's just bumping into each other and but it's fine. That's like a minor nitpick that is probably my fault.
Yeah.
So Rob, what is your High Seas Limited most surprise?
Yeah, I used to draft a lot when I played Magic. I loved playing limited just for hours on end, just going draft to draft to draft. And I have enjoyed some Fab sets. I think I really enjoyed Rosetta. Hunted was okay, but High Seas Limited just cracked me. I loved playing this. I remember going to like every previous I could. I had to practice it for Nats, but I was kind of dreading practicing Nats, limited for Nats, and I adored it. It was so much fun to play, and every game I lost, I felt like there was something to learn. There was something more I could have done, and I'm super bummed we haven't been able to have that return to form. But I'm very confident we can get to that point again, and if not, have better limited sets. I think the best is yet to come, and I think we have some great limited sets. So I'm stoked, and I can't wait to see more for them.
I agree. Yeah.
Cool.
Do we even settle on one for this one?
We did not. I think it's all like a. But yeah,
subjective one.
yeah. I also agree with you. High Seas Limited, I thought was like especially the multiple weapons for heroes that are not named Gravy Bones.
Mhm.
I thought it was like really interesting. There's different archetypes.
The red line
for
Manta build
heroes.
was really
Yeah. Until
Red Line
people
Manta
figured
was
it
so
out
fun.
and started forcing me out of that lane. That pissed me off. All right, let's here it is. The biggest disappointment. John, creator grant. All right, you get to be the
Hit us with that
Hit us-
YouTube drama.
It is with the YouTube. I'm gonna put drama alert right over there.
Oh no, now LSS is never going to give me one. The one good thing to come out of the creator grant was that it got my partner to make a YouTube video, which you can still see Lupinefiasco talking about why the creator grant was so bad. I recognize that a lot of people are not going to really vibe with this one because it's very inside baseball. Like a lot of the creators could tell you why it was disappointing, but lay people such as yourself watching this video probably don't care, which is totally fine. You don't have to, and you shouldn't. But everything about the implementation here was just like confusing or actively bad. It was announced in Singapore, I think, as a way to build hype and show that LSS is supporting the creator community. But the way that they announced it gave the implication that there would be an application process, which there wasn't. If you watching this don't know anything about the creator grant, what happened was it was announced. 10 people were sent emails saying, we would like you to apply for this. The rest of us heard nothing. Those 10 emails were received at different times throughout the month and a half leading up to the announcement of who got their creator grant. So one creator might have 6 weeks to fill out their application. Another creator might have 3 weeks. At the end of it, 5 creators were chosen. We don't know why. It was those 5 and not the other 5, as far as I understand, based on the questions that I know were asked on the application. They were all sort of answered the same way. Hey, what would you spend the money on? Lights and cameras. Like everyone needs the same stuff. All the creators need the same stuff. So it felt like LSS wanted to give money to 5 creators, but for whatever reason didn't want to just give money to 5 creators. They wanted to make it seem like this more open, transparent process, but it wasn't, and it was very easy to figure out that it wasn't. And so the takeaway from this is not, I'm sad that they did it. I like that they are doing the creator grant, and I hope that they do it again. The takeaway is, I hope they do it better, which they very easily can. There are, aside from my partner's video, there are very easy ways to go and find out how to run a grant program. This is a very established process that I think LSS could very easily achieve.
I think the overall result, I think the money mostly also went to pretty good places. I think it's more so the transparency, like I don't know, just like the logistics of it that I'm like unclear. Like if it still is confusing to me, like looking back on it, how exactly that was implemented.
Because if you weren't like contacted, like I think the big point is like I think people should be able to apply no matter what.
But it's also weird to like select people ahead of time before like this person has to win the grant beforehand.
It was weird. I made a joke that if we got the grant, it would have gone to me getting an Apple Vision Pro, and then like however much leftover money goes to Candy, and then I make a video of me like playing Talishar on it. But so like I don't know if we have like a ton of great uses for it, but it was
realistically.
It was disappointing a little to not really understand how it worked until all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, here's who got it, and I was like, oh okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah,
like there's
I-
definitely like no shade to most of those people. Like I know like Aggro Blaze and Pitch Perfect got it, and like I love both of those like creators a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I wish
There were some
Bios
people
Update
that
got
work really hard and do amazing content that got the grant. And
Yeah.
so it's good to see some of those people, their work really pay off, and that's great.
Yeah, I do want to make it clear. I know among the four of us, none of us are salty that we didn't get the money. I personally am salty that I wasn't able to apply. That's what I would have
I
wanted.
think
And that's what I'm.
yeah.
That's what's so confusing. Like even if they knew going in that I personally, Lupine Fiasco, was not going to get the grant, I would have liked to be able to submit my application.
I think that's fair. Like I was like, oh well, like I don't think we're gonna get it anyway.
Yeah.
But like I was like, it would have been nice to, get an Apple Vision Pro. I wish BIOS Update won, because that guy, it would be cool to see him have a better computer to make his
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen how he does, he and I talked about it for like an hour and a half on our super cool, and go check him out. But yeah, so what was my most disappointing? The Hunted. I hated The Hunted. This is no surprise to anyone. The Hunted. So okay. So imagine this, right? So, Rosetta comes out. Like they ban the books, right? Like I was upset. I was like, some of my favorite cards, whatever. But hey, whatever. So Rosetta comes out, and you're like, oh boy, what's the next set gonna be? And it's like, are you ready for Return to Volcor? It's like, oh boy, Return to Volcor. Like new Kano, new Dromai. I hope not new Dromai, but new Kano would be cool, right? New Blaze, even that would be sick, right? And then they're like, what if we told you it was another Assassin Ninja X set? And it's just like, we just had that 2 sets ago. It was Mistfill. What is going on? So I was like, this is what we wanted, and they're like, no, it's cool. It's daggers. And it's like, it's daggers. Like that's not cool. That's
Daggers
already
are already really good.
they're already really good. What the fuck, guys? And then they're like, then the heroes are like not interesting, and it's like, oh, what's chaos? And it's like, what is chaos? And they're like, it's like a thing like Royal where it's on 2 cards, and that's it, and it doesn't matter, and neither does Royal, which the other 2 heroes are, by the way. And it continued, and so like it was the set that continued the story that started up in Dynasty, which in theory is interesting, right? Where it's like, we are making the world building matter. And that would have been really cool if everything about the set was different. It also introduced Shelter from the Storm, which is one of my least favorite cards of the year. And a bunch of dagger stuff, which is not something I was particularly excited to see. And yeah, Hunter's Clave is a card that I don't like. And yeah, so just the whole thing, I was just like, oh, like this is exactly what I wanted. And I did not like the limited at all.
The limited, some people have said, is like the worst limited here.
The
I was
limited felt
miserable.
really bad.
I played it in
It is not
sealed-
worse than Super Slam.
Not worse.
It's not okay. So I
Super
played
Slam
it
is an abomination.
I played in a sealed PQ when we went back to Portland for like the Battle Harden. I opened a pool that was unplayable, like at all. Like they're like, and you were like, oh, it couldn't be that bad. I showed it to you, and you're like, oh god,
Yeah,
this is
pretty
not
bad.
good. This is shocking to me. And like as insult to injury, I got like the EA anaphylactic shock, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go drop and go do something. So yeah, so I thought I hated this, and I'm mad that this was like a set at all. And then it also like, so I love quick dodge flexors. I think it's a cool card. Giving it to Enigma sucked, and also giving Enigma shelter from extra D-React sucked. And this set was bad, and I hate this set. I was really disappointed that it came out. I thought that it shouldn't have come out, and I thought that I was like, this is bad, and the meta is bad. And
There's something positive about the Hunted.
the Hunted had a Command and Conquer reprint, and it made that card more accessible for people. And that is one of the few things I think is like cool. I also like that Arachne is like a diverse group of people, which is kind of neat.
Mhm.
It's cool that there's like a girl Arachne. It was cool seeing Brody got a card, and that they made his card that he submitted into something that was like actually playable in the game. I'm done. All right, Aurora, what's your most
Yeah.
disappointing thing?
I think mine is just Guardian vibes.
Guardian.
I think I was so hyped as like my little Jarl Bravo heart was like, oh, we're gonna get something out of Master. Like it doesn't have to be something crazy, just like just a little bit, just a little something. And then like Master Pack Guardian was just Falda. Falda, I know Rob likes Falda. Falda does nothing for me personally. It feels like Guardian Vincent.
Damning indictment.
Damning indictment. It's like fine. Like there's nothing wrong with Volda. It's just like I wish that Mastery Pack like the issue with Mastery Pack Guardian was that ultimately they had to make a crack shuffle play experience, which means that they don't want to print expansion slots because that's confusing for crack shuffle play, right? So like you couldn't really print like Jarl spec or whatever in that product. Which okay, fair enough. Like it's beginner pack Guardian, right?
Yeah.
But then like Super Slam is like a Guardian brute set, and then we also don't get any like real Guardian support in that set either. Like I don't know.
They did Auras. You like Auras, right? You said on record, like I wish Guardians had more Auras. Maybe was this the monkey paw?
This was maybe the monkey paw.
We can talk about that. I mean, mine will be a lot around that, but I think one of the issues with Super Slam is that like because of Gravy and Verdance existing,
all the
just
heroes
four
are just shut
from-
out.
Yeah, they just don't matter. They're not relevant.
Yeah.
And it sucks to have a whole set come out and just the 4 new heroes don't matter. It's just like bright lights all over again.
Rob, that actually is a pretty good segue to what yours is,
Yeah.
which is Super Slam.
Super Slam was a huge disappointment to me. The only reason it's not the worst set that came out this year is it had awesome reprints. Reprints are great. Felling is $4 right now.
That's
was
so
like
wild.
$1, which is nuts. Warmongers is super cheap. Like Knives is cheap. What's it called? What's the Ranger hats?
New Horizons.
New Horizons.
You could have not
it's
said
$10.
it. And
That's sick.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Those cards are beautiful. It looks awesome. Phenomenal. However, from a play experience, boy howdy. Pleiades was such a miss. And it sucks because I feel like they really felt like this hero was going to be good. The fact that with the Black Friday pack that comes out in a couple days, you could almost fully cold foil out your Pleiades deck, and that's something that they like leave for heroes like Prism that are like these are our mainstay heroes that we love. These are our mascots. You know, she was on all the promotion material for Worlds and in the stream. They like really felt like this is the Guardian. Like we crushed it, we nailed it. And she sucks. She's so hard to play. She's just like the Armory deck was, I think, a really good idea. It almost works. It's just like you're always so much underrate, and like there's so many moving parts where if anything goes wrong, all of a sudden you're just way underrate. And your reward of like juggling everything correctly is you're keeping up value with the other heroes, and it's like you're not getting rewarded for doing all these things at the same time, which really kind of sucks. I think she could be fixed. The problem is she has to share a lot of her card pool with Lyeth, and Lyeth gets to draw an extra card, so all of her auras don't get to work the way she wants them to. So that's really tough. But she's just like underrate, doesn't really do anything cool. And I was like super excited to make a deck tech and like really dive into the hero and player of the season, and I really fell out of love with her, and it breaks my heart that she kind of just is a miss.
We have an overall for this one, which is just Guardian cards.
Yeah, I think Guardian cards have been slacking recently.
Yeah. That's fair.
Let's consolidate. So we're going to do all 3 of these at once. Each person individually. We're not going to just start talking. That'd be crazy. So let's go with you, John. So how would you rate FaB? Could you recommend it to others? And 3 things you might change.
I would rate FaB a 7 out of 10. At the moment, I could not recommend it to others, but I possibly could if Sage takes off for one thing, and if any of these 3 happen. I will say very briefly what I don't like, why I could not recommend it is that the game is very expensive to get into and it's been very stale. I'm not confident in telling anyone if you want to play any heroes that aren't Gravy, Cinder, or Verdance that you're going to have a good time, and it's going to cost you $1,500 to do that. But things we could change, I would like them to trade out lead set designers every set. My understanding is that James White has been the lead designer for the last, 17 sets? And I think it's very apparent that that is the case as heroes are moving towards these more homogenized numbers piles. We aren't really seeing anything super interesting anymore. Everything is building off of itself, which in theory is good, but in practice is just giving us these value piles that I don't want to keep playing. I want a heavier hand in format curation. We talked about it with the 0.5x modifier, but LSS told us that they were going to start implementing more frequent, heavier bans to shake up these formats. And yet we've had the Verdant's Gravy X triangle since High Seas. In High Seas, it was Slippy. Currently, it is Syndra. And that's a problem. Even if representation and win rates are within reasonable numbers, it is bad that the top 2 decks have been the top 2 decks for 6 months and that the third best deck has been that way for 3 months. I also want a clear vision for alternate constructed formats. Currently, that's Sage. I hope LSS does it well, does good bans, releases relevant cards that make an impact without being too powerful. But so far, they gave us LL, fumbled it. I think currently LL is in a fine spot, and we're not going to see it again anytime soon, and that is all bad. So hopefully fix all those things, bump it up 8, 9, 10, and I would be happy to recommend it to others.
Cool. I'm gonna say I gave it a 9 out of 10. I said Pobody's nerfed. But for all the things, so it's interesting playing FaB, right? Because I still sometimes check in on the Magic community for all the things going on in FaB. That it's just like, oh, I don't like this. I look at Magic and it's like, oh, this is a dumpster fire. What's going on here? Like they let VV ruin standard for months and months and months, and they're like, well, we have to stick to this good. So FaB's not like that. Like I think they really care about OP, and they are still like, I think like with High Seas, for instance, they're still trying to make things that are interesting and fun. And like I'm a lot, I guess, just a lot more forgiving on like, yeah, I don't like this, I don't like that, because it's just like, okay, like at the end of the day, I still like this game more than other card games by like a significant margin. I'd recommend it. It's very expensive for CC, but I think that they're trying very hard to make it so that that is not the only thing that you can play in order to play like organized play. 2026 being like a year where they are um, pushing Sage to almost to the point where it's like forcing it a little bit. Like they are pushing it so hard that it's just like, yeah, this is like there's like not an excuse to not play organized play, right? Like especially if it's this cheap and like the format is fun. So yeah, so I think it's like a great time to start getting into the game, start learning how to play the game. It seems to be growing bigger and bigger every year, and the next set is going to be a bunch of stuff that is important for not just Sage, but also like the heroes of the game. So like hopefully like this big shakeup. Um, 3 things I might change. I'm not going to get into exactly how I would change how arcane damage works, but I think that if they had a little bit more time with Arcane Rising, it would work a little bit different. I wish Arcane Barrier wasn't a thing, and that could just pay into arcane damage, like as a built-in mechanic, whatever. I think ban flick knives would be great for the game at this point. It's an issue with Syndra. It was an issue in Slippy, and it'll probably be an issue again because of how retrieval works. I don't think it was supposed to be like this. And then more broadly, I'd like them to stop designing heroes around a particular card like Tough Nut or Sintra. I think it makes it. I think if it becomes a problem, like I said, and like the card that they designed around is the problem, then they're in this really bad situation of, well, shoot, I guess this is an issue and I don't know what to do. So that's what I would change. Overall, happy with the game. Aurora, what is your answers to these questions?
I think it's estimated 8 out of 10, maybe somewhere. I think Sage is a 10 out of 10. I've been playing that format basically not. I think I have like 250 games at least on my Terra deck.
Good God.
Which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, I feel like I've been having a ton of fun with Sage. CC and LL. Well, LL has actually been kind of a surprise. I think if the balance, like, there's still some balancing issues with LL, but I actually really like how the format kind of ended up. Like, I think Dio was like the one outlier, but aside from that, like, most of the other decks were like pretty cool, and it felt like there was a pretty good variety towards the end there. But I know they probably like shelved LL for just because I think like there's a lot of community negativity around it. For CC, like that's probably like my least favorite format right now, just because it feels like you're basically playing like the same format you were playing like 6 months ago, right? Like we're gonna talk about. Like I don't know, I kind of have just like Gen Z brain maybe, but like just playing the same format for 6 months is like too much. I don't know, too much for me. I get bored.
I understand.
Could I recommend others? Yeah, I still would recommend others. I do feel a little bit bad because like I don't know if now is like the best time for a new player to like actually get into FaB, just because like how things are still shifting. Like I think that Sage is definitely going to be really good at entry points. Like once that is out with like pen, I think it's going to be a little bit better. And then the three things that would change this year are generic fables. I think that Riches could have been just like a pirate fable, and that would have been really cool. Mattia could have been like a guardian fable, and that would have been I don't know. There's like lock it behind like a class so that everyone doesn't have to buy the stupid card. Like balance it some way. I think that like having everything like generic fables, I feel like were a design mistake like way back in the early days, and we're just like repeating that design mistake over and over.
Mhm.
Also, I think that ally decks or like decks that just like make allies have kind of just had this really problematic play experience like the past couple sets. Like we've had Dromai, we've had Enigma, and then we've had like Gravy. And I think like or in Prism, I guess. But like Dromai and Prism for some reason have felt like the most fair aggro decks, even though they're like doing their own like crazy bullshit. But like Enigma and Gravy, like there's only like one axis you can really like attack the allies on. It feels like the path to interaction is like very, very narrow. So it feels like a lot of
Enigma, they're not even allies. It's even worse.
yeah. Enigma, they're not even they're functionally allies. You know what I mean? But like it feels like LSS basically just presents like a singular path to interact with like certain ally heroes, and like if you don't do that path, then you just like lose basically, right?
Yeah.
So I wish there was like multiple paths to interaction. And then the last change I would make is to introduce like more like power level or consistency bands as opposed to like this is broken bands. So I think I was talking about this a little bit earlier with like Syndra, right? Like Syndra is a deck of entirely 0 for 4, so like which 0 for 4 do you ban, right? But there are like consistency like enablers, like there's like Brand with Cinderclaw, which again would hurt FaB, which is like whole separate issue. Like there are cards you can target in the deck that would just reduce the power level just a little bit, so that's a little bit less consistent. You can't just do like the full red line thing. Like there are definitely things that you can do to like nerf the deck without completely making it unplayable and just take it down like a little notch so that other people can kind of like catch back up. Same thing with like Verdance also. Like, there are definitely cards you can like target in like Verdance and even like Gravy to a lesser extent. But like there are things you can actually like look at making the power level.
Rob, why don't you close out this little section with your how you rate, can you recommend 3 things?
Absolutely. So I think I'm in a similar boat to what you guys mentioned before, that at its worst, this game is still the best card game on the market. There are problems, and I've been very frustrated this year with some things. But comparing it to going back to playing Magic or like thinking of like Yu-Gi-Oh or Lorcana or Riftbound or like Gundam, I'm so much happier where I am, and I would not give it for anything for the world. I think as of right now, at worst, it's a 7 out of 10. They've just been incredible. It's so much fun. And I think with the support they give it, I think it could easily be a 10 out of 10. So I'm super stoked for it. I would recommend this game to others, especially coming in February. February, I would be like, all gas, no brakes, let's go. I think it's awesome. And as far as changes I would make, I think they hit a great stride with Fables around heavy hitters and Miss Vale. I thought those Fables were awesome, and I think they should just do more Fables like that, where there's these collectible landmark pieces that look cool,
Mhm.
and maybe you can play them, but they're like not really good, and they look beautiful. So like it's cool to open them. I would love to see more format curation, like we mentioned before, where if we're going to go 0.5x and we're going to lower how LL works, and we want to keep the LL system, I think we need to be more responsible and keep the format a little bit more fresh, so we're not just playing the same format for 6 months. And then I would like more ways to compete locally. I know there's been the change around PQs, which we have not mentioned at all, where if you win a PQ, you can't play the rest of that season, which I find is kind of a bummer. Especially you kind of like, I don't know, I really enjoy spending time with my community, so I don't want to get punished if I win one early on and like not able to hang out and see people. That sucks. So like competing is really fun. So I want like store championships or some kind of way that I can play locally that doesn't have this kind of because I've seen a lot of people just bow out in top 4 or bow out in the finals just because they don't want to get banned for the season.
Yeah, I got to 4 top 8.
That's true.
And I bowed out by choice.
I would have been fine if I won one because I don't know, I don't like going to I like playing them, but I don't like going. But yeah, I understand the I want to continue to do the competitive thing. But yeah, anyway, that was our FaB year in review 2025. Join us in
Another year.
365 days, or I don't know, is it a leap year next year?
I don't know.
If it is, then
It shouldn't.
however many days, 66. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's
You add a day. Who cares? Anyway, yeah, join us again next time for when we, I don't know, talk about whatever happened. What was the coolest thing next year? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, thanks for spending all this time with us. We really enjoyed talking to you. If you want to hear more of me talking, you can check me out on YouTube. My channel is Lupinefiasco. You can search for Daily FaB Gameplay. I'm also on Bluesky, and I post in Discord a lot.
Rob, you want to
Hey.
tell us
Yeah.
about your stuff?
Yeah, thank you for giving the time to chat with you guys here. It's been a lot of fun. If you want to look for me, my channel is OllinTogether on YouTube. I'm hoping to win the content creator grant next year so I can buy a webcam. I'm having a lot of fun making content, and I think a lot of people really been enjoying it. Hopefully, we'll get some stage gameplay out in the next couple of weeks, but really excited for the new format it has.
Yeah, and then last but not least,
Is us. You
as
want
us.
to tell us?
Tegan, what are your socials?
So yeah, we're Flesh and Bad. The socials are we are on Bluesky, and I'm the one who usually posts on that. So you're arguing with me and not Aurora. You can find us on YouTube. Might even be watching this video on our channel right now. Who knows?
Could be anywhere.
Could be anywhere.
Wow.
We have a Discord. If you want to join that, it's pretty cool. Got a lot of cool people in there. It's pretty active. And yeah. But yep, thanks again for watching. Aurora, do you want to say one last thing to close us out?
Hashtag ban Flicknut.
Hashtag ban Flicknut. All right. Goodbye. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.